Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelly Anderson, and I would like to welcome all of you to ISS Group's Business Process Improvement Demonstration titled Creation of Complex Business Rules for Approval Routing and Workflow. In the short presentation, my colleague Mike Markowitz will demonstrate how the 21st century organization uses our process digitization methodology along with our business process improvement solutions, and we will be using iPurchase today. In this week's presentation, we will be demonstrating how you and your organization can implement complex business rules for approval routing and workflow. We will show you how this can serve as a powerful tool for measuring a company's business processes for optimized performance. ISS Group's solutions provide updated key performance metrics to include number of approvers per requisition, rejection code analysis, activity summary by originator, and much more. Having the ability to obtain and monitor key metrics allows an organization to move quickly towards process improvement, the goal being to effectively yield efficient processes and ultimately deliver increased savings and work and productivity. At ISS Group, we're focused on our customer success, and we strive to help them evaluate how they can continually make the appropriate adjustments and changes to critical processes. This is at the heart of our #1 objective, process improvement. Mike will now demonstrate how to apply the most complex business rules within an approval and workflow solution to automate operational policy, enforce process control, reduce communication lag time, and standardize your procedures. Again, welcome to the weekly demonstration. I'm going to pass the control over to Mike to begin the presentation. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kelly, for the introduction. As Kelly stated it, I am going to demonstrate how to create a complex business rule or approval rule with an iPurchase on today's weekly webinar. So let's get started. I'm going to bring up our iPurchase solution, and we are already in a created requisition that has not yet been submitted. So the top here is the header information, the bottom is the line item information. But we're not going to really concentrate on that today. What we're going to concentrate on is this approval history tab. And as you can see, there are rules already in the system. The rules that have already been created in the system are in sequential order. So there's level 100, 250, 900, 930. There's one person approving or group approvals, as you can see, which we can discuss in a little bit. But let's just jump in and discuss how to create an approval rule. So this is the approval rule section within the administration section of iPurchase. The top here is the rule info section, and these fields are domain, what domain do you want the rule to run in, the name of the rule, the approval level, which I just discussed in the previous screen, is where would you like this rule to end up in the approval process, the user or group that needs to approve it, do you want the approval to run based on the total amount of the requisition or the line item, and the minimum and maximum amount of what the approver can approve for. The bottom half is the approval rules browse, and this shows all the approval rules that are in the system. So let's begin by talking about these buttons in the middle. So you could see, you know what save means. New creates a new rule. Delete deletes a rule that's highlighted below. Copy copies a rule that's highlighted below. You can't rename. You can't rename a rule here. So you have to click this button to rename a rule. If you click copy this copy rule, this will copy everything and the conditions. And then there's the conditions button. So let's start creating a new rule, and we'll go through the conditions button and other functions. So I'm going to click new, and it's going to blank out all the fields for me. The domain I'm going to pick is I'm going to pick asterisk. That means it's good for all domains. Whenever you see an asterisk, that means for all. The rule name I'm going to use is called, I'm going to use weekly webinar. Okay? The approval level I'm going to put is 1 because I want this to come up just for demo purposes at the top of the rules list. The user and group I'm going to pick a user in the group, so in the system. So I'm going to pick Scott, and you can see that all you have to do is type 1 or 2 letters in, and it brings up a list of everything that is related to the 2 letters or the 3 letters that I've already typed in. I'm going to use Scott here. I'm going to do the total rec dollar. I'm going to use 0 for the minimum, and for the maximum, I'm going to use 90. I think it's 90 million or 900 million. Okay? And I'm going to click Save. You'll notice that the domain and the rule name changed to red because they can't be changed, except if you click this button for the rule rename rule. So that's how you would change the rename rule, the rule name, sorry. And then I'm also going to check this box to make this active and hit Save. Then I am going to click the Conditions button. And when you click the Conditions button, a new screen will appear. So I click the Conditions button, and here is where this side of the approval rules becomes complex. So iPurchase has the ability to create complex approval rules using and or statements, and you can use as many and ors as you want. So we're going to build a complex rule, but it's not going to be overly complex just for demonstration purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this first block to an or, and then I'm going to add the header rec type here. So this is every field in the system: line fields and header fields. Any field you want can be used for an approval rule. Now, as you use the same field over and over again, it will start to move to the top. So your favorite field ends up in the top here. So I'm going to create a rule here for rec type, and I'm going to say it equals. Before I do that, though, these are the operands. Now, you get the operands for the same operands for any field you pick, but obviously you can't do greater than or equal to unless the first field is a number field. But you can see these are all the things that you can, all the operations that you can do for an approval rule. Greater than not, less than or equal to, in list, you can create a list. It does not match, it matches, not in list, reverse, contain. So there's a lot of operations that you can complete within the system. We're going to use equals. And when we're going to write, for the rec type, I'm going to write consulting services. Oops. Can't spell today. Service. Sorry. And then I'm going to click the plus here. And now it gives me another line. And then I'm going to do the bill to equals 10 million. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I'm going to click it again. I'm going to click the plus again. And I'm going to do again a rec type. And I'm going to do equals. But instead of that, I'm going to pick the inventory rec type. Now, these rec types or requisition types are created by the administrator in your system. You can have as many rec types as you'd like, and you can place them in a list in an order that you would like them to be. I'm going to hit the plus one more time, and then I'm going to do the header project equals test 1. Now again, I don't have to do these types of fields. I can pick, the line item, dollar, and total amount if I wanted, or the tax, or the line project, because you can have different projects based on the line items, not just for the total requisition. You can do GL cost, external notes, if something's in the external notes, the entry date, the buyer that's on the rec. It's limitless to what fields you can use within iPurchase. So now it's saying this rule states, this rule will be correct if any of these are right. But we're going to take this one more step. We're going to double check. We're going to check these two, and we're going to group those two as or, as an and we're going to group these two as and. So now what this rule says is, if the header rec type equals consulting services and the header bill to equals 10 million, place this rule in the approval process for that requisition. Or if the header rec type equals inventory and the header project equals test one, then also place this approval rule in the requisition. So we're going to save this, and the system's going to tell me that the conditions have been saved, and we're going to close. So what we're going to do now is, you'll notice that the one we just created is on level 1, app level 1. So it should come up first in the approval rules simulation or in the approval rules hierarchy. So let's now go back to the requisition workbench and take a look at this. So you'll see that there's a levels here. Like I explained in the beginning, they're sequential, and the first person has to approve, and then it goes to the next person. And then when the next person approves, it will notify the third person, and so on and so forth. But when you have a group like this, only one person has to approve within that group, not everyone. You'll also notice that there's a sailboat here. The reason for the sailboat is that Alex Chen is out of office, and he can select a delegate to approve his requisitions for him. So if this rule was submitted, either Jim Bird or Bill Comps would have to approve this requisition. Alex Chen is out of the office. You could also have two people on the same level, and if that occurs, then both people have to approve the requisition before it moves on through the process, and both people would get notified at the same time when it's their turn to approve. So let's go back to the header information for a second, and let's change this now to consulting services, and let's change the bill, and the bill to is already at 10 million. Okay, let's hit save. And now that we saved the rule, and I go back to approval history, you'll notice that a lot of the rules have changed, but my rule that I created is here. Scott Carpenter is number 1 here. If I go back to consulting service and choose CapEx, for example, and hit save, and I go back to approve, it took me off the rule, because now it placed me in the 150 level, but that's not the rule I just created. I created the level for level 1. So, as you can see, the rule was added based on the requirements that would be your business processes of who needs to approve what types of recs and dollar amounts and who and what the hierarchy is, and if you want the buyer at the end. Those are all business process rules that you guys would create and that would be entered into the system. So now if I go back to the header information and I change the CapEx now to inventory and I hit save, and I go back to approval history, you'll notice that just the buyer is on the rec, is on the approval simulation here. If I go back to the header information, I pick, remember the rule I created, which is right here, states that the rec type has to be inventory and the project has to equal test 1. So if I go back and I type in test 1 here now and click save, and I go back to the approval history, there's my rule. So it correctly added me to the approval process. If we go back to the approval rules section, you could see that I can create and/or statements, and/or, or ands, I could do groups, ands within ands, ors within ors. So there's no limit to the amount of and statements or or statements you can make, and that's why we call these complex approval rules. So I pretty much created 2 approval rules within one rule, one actual rule. So you could see how this could streamline the process of creating rules within your business. And on that note, that ends how to create a complex approval rule within iPurchase. And at this point, I am going to send this back to Kelly for our closing remarks.
Great, thanks, Mike. I would just like to add one quick statement that iPurchase reads the Q80 supplier master table, the master item table in real time, as well as it writes to the Q80 purchase order table in real time. This is eliminating the need for redundant data entry, and in turn reduces human error, improving efficiency, and greatly enhances productivity. Master file data is maintained in one place, and that's Q80. iPurchase not only works with the Q80 EA, it'll work with any ERP solution that can be integrated with iPurchase to allow a user to create a purchase order in their ERP solution after a request is approved. I'd like to thank you all for joining today's demonstration. We hope to see you next week. Our weekly demonstrations are every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The contact information, as you can see, is Kelly Anderson, kanderson@issgroup.net, my phone number, 973-850-4452. You can contact Mike Markowitz at mmarkowitz@issgroup.net. His phone, 973-850-4448. Or you can send an email to our sales mailbox on our website, which is sales@issgroup.net, and it will be picked up by a number of us, and we will reply as soon as possible. Again, thanks for joining the demonstration. Hope you guys all have a great day, and hope to see you next week. Thanks.